Thank you to Mubi for sponsoring this video. As far back as I can remember, I've always wanted to edit like Scorsese.
I know I'd go from rags to riches.
Unfortunately, one of the limitations making video essays is that you can't really afford the caliber of music at the fingertips of someone like Scorsese. I'm already pushing my luck with YouTube here, so let's change this up. Can you feel the difference? Music completely changes your emotional connection to what's happening on screen. Let's go back to something a little more serious. Maybe not quite so serious? Yeah, there we go. The question is, can music ever be separate from the visual? Scorsese's answer is, it combines.
Hey, Leroy!
One doesn't go
Your mama!
without the other.
She's calling you, man!
Music somehow created a kind of state of mind where I imagined abstract images and movement. A lot of movement. That's the key. Even when I was doing Wolf of Wall Street, I locked myself in and put some music on. I tried to imagine certain scenes around the room, even just the angles. Scorsese decides so much of what he puts on screen based on what you can hear. Sometimes the choices come from what you can't hear, like the near absence of sound effects in this scene from Raging Bull. Yeah, but it's mostly about what you can hear. Now, if there's one sequence that captures Scorsese's sonic style, it's the helicopter paranoia at the end of Goodfellas. This set piece has everything. In less than 10 minutes, there's 6 songs split in 10 needle drop moments. It's one of the most impressive achievements in film music history. So, let's go through it. Very quickly, what happens in these 10 minutes is that Henry gets high on a Sunday morning, as one does. He goes to drop off some guns, gets paranoid about being followed by a helicopter, gets high again, gets more paranoid, helps making dinner, drops off the same guns, but now with his wife.
You want to see helicopters?
Henry gets high for the 3rd time, has that family dinner, and then, spoiler alert, by that same Sunday evening he's busted by the cops. This all happens to the tune of 6 songs, and to understand how they work, we need to look at why Scorsese chooses them. One of his trademarks is working with music that comments on the action. If we go back to the first song in the film, you can hear how well it sums up the rise in the mafia ranks of Henry Hill.
I know I'd go from rags to riches.
Further down the line, the lyrics of Then He Kissed Me describe the infatuation of future Mrs. Hill in the famous long take of the Copacabana. And more than halfway through, just listen to the words of Rolling Stone's Gimme Shelter. They apply perfectly to Henry's situation. He was playing by the mafia rules, but now that he started dealing in narcotics, his life is truly in danger.
Just don't do it.
Okay, now back to our scene. From the 6 songs, I'm going to start focusing on just one that comes up 3 times. The song is Jump Into the Fire, a hard-rocking hit that's absolutely intoxicating. But try to forget that and just focus on the words. Henry feels invincible, and it's Harry Nilsson's lyrics that puts his high into words. It's fitting that the track is cut off with this anti-coke propaganda.
Stop with those fucking drugs. They're making your mind into mush. You hear me? Take them back.
The track plays for the 2nd time to describe his new state of mind, when Henry gets high again.
He took mercy on me. He gave me 10 milligrams of Valium and sent me home.
The editing of the sequence imitated Henry's manic high on drugs and power, and it had the same effect on the spectator. This slowing drum solo indicates that it's all coming to the end.
Freeze! Freeze! Don't you move, you motherfucker! I'll blow your brains out! Shut the car off slowly!
All we're left with is a nasty hangover. Okay, back to the start. Now let's forget about lyrics, forget Scorsese, and just focus on how this is pulled off.
You hear me? Take 'em back.
The most interesting thing about this sequence is how the tracks are integrated and mixed together. And to understand how it works, we need to look at the work of three people: Thelma Schoonmaker, Tom Fleischman, and Michael Bauhaus. Let's start with Bauhaus, the director of photography. Now, what does image have to do with sound mixing, you might ask? Well, everything.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Okay, let's run that back. To talk about the relationship between cinematography and sound editing, we're just going to focus on Muddy Waters' Manish Boy.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
The song really picks up after that, but the challenge here is to make this very slow intro match the energy of the rest of the music. This is very different from the rest, so to make it fit, Bauhaus moved the camera in a way that matches Muddy Waters' delivery.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
The camera doesn't simply pan right, it sways right.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
This can also be achieved without lyrics. The second time Manish Boy comes on, the transition is a lot more aggressive. Partly because we have to cut off George Harrison's What Is Life before we go into it. So we start with a medium shot and end up in a super tight close-up. The transition works so well simply because the music is accompanied by an extreme dolly. Another important part of it is the camera movement stops abruptly with the help of the loudest guitar strum. The third reason has to do with the sound department. This is where Tom Fleischman comes in. When approaching a scene, the sound mixer must be conscious of what is moving the picture, whether it's music or sound effects. In Goodfellas, music is in the driver's seat, but sound effects are definitely riding shotgun. This sound is on top of the transition, masking and smoothing it. The more sounds, the less noticeable the transition becomes. Here it's the car and the helicopter propellers.
I was pretty sure I'd get my money back.
We're gonna stick with Henry driving and look at how you can transition between two moments from the same song. The one you're hearing now and this next riff that starts a minute later. Now it's Thelma Schoonmaker's time to shine. She's the editor. Of course, this segue is also about sound effects and camera choices, with the screeching of the tires and the extreme close-ups. But it's the editor that puts it all together. The song sets the timing of the sequence. The first editing point is with his scream, and the second one with his wind-down moment before the drum solo. That you want to match with the car finally stopping. And this guitar riff matches Henry's relief. Because we have the timing of the music and the actions in the scene all laid out, the editor doesn't have much room to work with. That's where creativity and an eye for detail come in.
How about taking one frame off the second and putting 2 frames on the tail, on the third, and that sort of thing.
Scorsese is talking about his collaboration with the editor.
Understands what to do and doesn't turn to you and say, oh, this is ridiculous, I don't want it. Well, why don't we just leave it as it is and go in a purer way and simpler? No, this is what I'm doing.
I don't actually drive, but I'm pretty sure you only need to pump the brakes once to get the car to stop. What the editor did here that was unique was that she repeated the same action 4 different times. And one time I think she just used the same shot, or a different take, and blew it up for a more disconcerting edit. If all goes according to the plan, the scene works great, but sadly, you won't think twice about the people making it work. That's just the reality of sound, the ironically silent partner of the image. So, here's to Tom Fleischman, Thelma Schoonmaker, and Michael Bauhaus. This video was only possible through the support of our friends from Mubi. If you haven't heard of Mubi by now, here's what you're missing. A curated online cinema streaming exceptional movies from around the globe. Every day, they present a new film, and every day they take one away. You can now catch Neighboring Sounds, the debut feature of Kleber Mendonça Filho. I saw it a few years ago in film class, and I was mesmerized with its sound design. First, it's technically impressive, but more than that, the sound almost plays like a character. Mendonça manages to spike your anxiety with dog barks, footsteps, or the ceaseless buzz of a music box. The movie's playing along with timeless classics, thought-provoking documentaries, and acclaimed masterpieces. There are always 30 perfectly curated films to discover on the website. So try Mubi free for 30 days at mubi.com/beyondtheframe. That's mubi.com/beyondtheframe for your extended free trial.